Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenherr, the Jerusalem psychotherapist. In this week's Torah and Psychology post for Pashas Korach, we're going to discuss an important message of arguments, of machlokas, of how to argue in the right way, of what is a machlokas, which in the wording of the Mishnah in Avos, what is a machlokas which is adaptive, which is l'shem shamayim? Because in Masechet Avos, the way that the Mishnah presents machlokas of Korach, it is defined as being a machlokas which is not l'shem shamayim. Whereas this is contrasted with machlokas of Shammai and Hillel, which is a machlokas l'shem shamayim. In the sense, this gives us a interesting conceptualization that machlokas, arguments, or conflict, perhaps, depends how you want to translate it, is not necessarily a negative thing. That machlokas, arguments, they exist. And the way that the Mishnah obviously is saying is there are different dynamics and different categorizations of a machlokas. It really depends how the people involved navigate the conflict, the tension. And it really depends, if you look at the Pirush of the Baal Tanura, it depends what the purpose of the machlokas is. The purpose of the machlokas of Korach was not the Shem Shemayim, it was maladaptive, it was generated from a place of personal need and personal goals. And in contrast, the machlokas of Shammai and Hillel, which is l'shem shamayim, its purpose is for clarification. Its purpose is to gain greater clarity and depth of understanding, and that is l'shem shamayim, and that is a machlokas she'it kayem, as in the wording of the Mishnah in Avos. So what we see, if we take this conceptualization, we want to try to understand what does it mean, and how. What are the goals? What are the tools, you could say, in order to create a machlokas that is l'shem shamayim, that will be productive and adaptive for the relationship. So if we take this to the field of marital therapy, really it applies for any interpersonal relationships, interpersonal communication, but it's most prominent and most dangerous, you could say, if we go into the dynamics of the relationship between a husband and wife in the marital relationship, where we have to say that within this relationship between two people who are a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, who are very different, who come from different worlds, whether it's biologically, whether it's psychologically, they come from different homes, they understand the world in a different way, whether it's because of the reality of two people living together for many years, for most of their life, living in an intimate, close relationship where they share the most important aspects of life decisions to do with themselves and to do with their nearest and dearest of their children, and this has long-lasting ramifications. So because of the value and the weight of this relationship, so surely at some point there will be machlokas, in the sense that surely at some point there will be difference of opinions, of understandings of the way that of the way that life is viewed, and making decisions. And if we look at the field of marital therapy and the different theories that are presented, the theories don't shy away or avoid the reality of machlokas, that arguments are going to happen. But in a way, it's embracing this reality and understanding that machlokas will occur, but it depends how the husband and wife, how people in interpersonal relationships conduct the dynamic of the machlokas. What is the focus? If we take the wording and understanding of the Mishnah in Avos, what is the purpose of the machlokas? If it's not l'shem shamayim, if it's not l'shem the preserving the relationship, if it's to serve one's own personal needs and goals, and are ignoring the other person in the relationship, then that's not l'shem shamayim, that's not l'shem the relationship or the marriage. If we look at Shammai and Hillel and the purpose of gaining clarity and understanding and depth and meaning, if we put that into the marital relationship, if the purpose of the argument is in order to gain greater understanding, if it's the purpose is to preserve the relationship and even strengthen the relationship, but and at the same time you're constantly keeping in mind that you respect the other person, you love the other person, that you want to maintain a relationship with this person. It's not serving one's own personal goals, but it's serving the united goal and the shared goal of this relationship, of this marriage. Then that's l'shem shamayim. That is l'shem the relationship and the intimate, loving relationship that you have with this other person. If that is maintained, that is arguing in the right way, that is drawing closer and holding the other person in this moment of machlokas, you could say. And machlokas, if there's an argument in these relationships, they occur, they happen, and they should be acknowledged and embraced, and they can be a tool to actually reach greater levels of, we say, clarity and love and respect, and to strengthen the relationship. Machlokas that we learn from this week's parsha can be adaptive or maladaptive. It depends on the focus, it depends how it's navigated, and hopefully the lesson that we can learn from this week's parsha and Masechet Avos is to try to focus on the aspects that will create an adaptive way of arguing, an adaptive way of having a machlokas, to preserve and maintain l'shem shamayim, to preserve the relationship and make it even stronger. Have a good Shabbos and keep well.